are going to execute as we jump into the Land of Dawn here for game number 2 between the first matchup of Aura Fire and Rebellion Zion.
So far in the emblems, nothing too crazy. Kabuki does have the gold, the Avarice emblem, which is it's gonna help him just scale a lot faster in this game.
Yeah, and here, honestly, you want to take a look at how this Edith Benedetta matchup works, right? Because on paper, Benedetta has the eye for an eye that can literally counter that onward and even the Earth Shatter that he has or she has within her kit. So level 2 is where Cars can actually get a lead, and yeah, that's exactly what's happening here. Cars is actually going to be able to dish out a bit of damage and also get out away from the lockdown. So I think Fluffy actually just counterpicked himself with that Edith rotation flex over to the XP.
I gotta agree with you. I don't think the Edith can lane properly against the Benedetta, realizing that the animation of her CCs are so slow, going against something like the Benedetta who can counter CC. It's not a great time, right? Of course, the Edith can clear faster because of the buff she has, the damage to the minions, but honestly, looking at that matchup, I would have preferred something like the Paquito.
Yeah, this is where the Paquito actually would do so well up
Exactly.
against a Bene. But you're not seeing it just yet. And in the mid lane, we're seeing it. Early on, yes, Fairmist does have a bit of a lead when it comes to clearing out the minion waves, but as time goes on, the Valentina will be able to catch back up, and the mid lane is probably going to be like a bit more even than it is a win for any side.
But now you're seeing a bit of a switch up here. The roam battle is a bit different, because now Godiva has more pressure, more damage, quote-unquote, and more kill threat, especially now that he's level 4 with the Dragon. So Wijanarko cannot be as oppressive. He's forced to just play defensively as his team will be, in a way, forced away from the turtle.
Cars now in the midst of it all, jumps with the eye for a knife. Fluffy with the flicker, not able to actually cancel Vincent out as he is still able to find the retribution here, as that's the final blow again. On to so many members. Fluffy picks up the first blood, but they're all so low. Rebellion with one neutral objective take. They'll trade it. They'll accept the trade that Aura Fire has forced them onto.
Not really sure about the decision-making that Aura Fire made there. Clearly, Rebellion Zion were already being able to set up for the turtle, but seeing that, Aura Fire still went for it. I thought they were going to look for a counterplay maybe on an opposing side of the map, but they committed to that and they lost.
Well, they still have a gold advantage here. They lost the turtle, but they got that first blood onto Cars on the Benedetta. And speaking of the EXP lane, right? Any small amount matters, because in the EXP lane, later on especially, it becomes a very intense and prolonged 1v1. So if Fluffy can get ahead, maybe he can do something, but with an Edith, that also means he's going to be stuck trying to have more difference in those team fights. So even getting him ahead will not be a reliable way for Aura to try and force Rebellion Zion to move a certain way.
I mean, the reason why Aura Fire still has a little bit of more gold is probably because of the choice of emblem that Kabuki has as well, right? He's going for the Avarice, so he needs to play a little bit more passive, I guess, in that sense, but he is going to be able to farm up better. But looking at this here, already engaged from Rebellion Zion.
Good read by Kabuki with Blazing Duet now, but it's going to be actually the way the Dragon locked in onto Swaylo, who's still able to disengage for now with a good cancel. Cult Altar placed in already. Town prediction says it's 5-1. Aura, one Aura. Eterna's the only one here on the desk. So hey, you can prove all of us wrong.
I mean, I'm nothing if not loyal, but here, Facehugger gonna get all in as well, like me, with a town prediction.
And he still survives, just like Eterna on the desk. Fluffy is looking for more here. High steps back in, and you can already see the damage from Fluffy building, right? Top side has been pushed in, though. They gotta be really careful about this. That's more pressure to play with.
Oof, Rebellion, now they have a bit more of a sustain advantage. Later on, there will be both the Blessing of the Moon Goddess as well as a Cult Altar they can use to try and outlast, outmaneuver Aura Fire. And in the late game, though, you do have to think that it's a Beatrix up against a Claude and a Lunok, and look at the damage!
Guys?
Oh, so close.
So close. That was a sliver of HP, guys. But on that note, that's actually going to force Kabuki to recall just in time for the turtle take.
Cars again dashing out from that Earth Shatter from Fluffy. The onwards there, and he goes for the flicker, but it only finds Cars. It's still Vincent who wins out the retribution battle. The G-Kudo finds another, but look at the back lines with the healing. Vincent is massive with the Appraiser's Wrath. Vincent is still alive, but he will fall ultimately to the hands of Facehugger. Fluffy now in the midst of it all, recalled over. Swaylo picks up the kill. It's a 3 for 2, and that 1,000 gold lead is back to the hands of Rebellion Zion.
Rebellion Rebellion Zion have drafted with so much sustain, right? They can rely on the Holy Healing from Narco, but they can, the Blessing of the Moon Goddess from Narco, but also the Cult Altar from Suelo if he is able to get that Cult Altar away from Aura Fire, Rashi.
And if you look at the item builds right here, finally, there's going to be a tough boots for Kabuki. He only has a Demon Hunter sword. So these tankier members on top of the Blessing of the Moon Goddess is going to be so difficult for them to deal with. Same thing is for High on that Lunox, only a Clock of Destiny. So the longer the game goes, I assume sooner or later, Facehugger is going to build a Glowing Wand, and that's going to allow them to have more reliable damage. But all these heroes can get out-sustained because their damage isn't without cause. It's very ultimate reliant. So in the later stages of the fight, if they want to risk using their damage to weather down, to melt down the big frontline members, it's going to be a bit too much. But look at the play.
High's locked down, but that's going to be the healing coming in, saving Highs. The Cult Altar's been placed, and they've lost in the sustained battle because Vincent has come back in under the turret, not using the Appraiser's Wrath just yet. Notices that Edith has actually gone missing from the map. Card is going to be able to push in the mid wave, and that's more pressure for Rebellion to play with to siege down this turret. Aura Fire, they're still trying to commit for this defense. Fluffy doesn't have the flicker to play with just yet. He goes for the Earth Shatter here, and that might just be a lot of damage once again placed onto it. That's the commitment from Aura. They're trying to defend, but High will be popped. Will be popping in that brilliance as that's the final blow, dealing so much onto the back line. Even the Petrify was used in. Fluffy has to use that ultimate to get out to safety. Defensive ultimate from Aura Fires across the board.
So unfortunate. I mean, it seems like Aura Fire, they're trying to look for some compensation. We see that Kabuki is trying to push in that top lane, trying to get a turret out of it, and a turret they will get, but other than that, every time this dynamic duo, right? The dynamic duo from Death, Ouija, Narco, and Suelo, every time they go in for a rotation, they always get something out of it. And Aura Fire, they can't handle that kill pressure, that aggression that both of these players are playing onto Aura Fire.
Keep in mind that Aura Fire is not also always all together in the beginning of these engagements. They usually come in sort of late, whereas if you look at Rebellion Zion, due to the nature of their composition, they're always sticking together. This is how, from the draft at least, it seems like they planned out on playing, and Aura Fire is matching and following their game plan instead. So Aura needs to try and find a way to try and change it up, because otherwise, Rebellion Zion does not have to do anything. At a 2.5k gold lead, they can just ride on this momentum, and they've already taken so many structures, so many turrets, that it will allow them to just find more pickoffs, more dives under the turret.
Again, Fluffy's going to be zoned away from this tier 1. A good siege coming from Highs, but Pixar is still opting to actually stay there. A bit of a miscalculation there as the Shadow Stampede brings Vincent a bit too far away from the Earth Shatter to hit. Godiva's still looking for an opening. And on this show, I have to say, right, we saw a fun fact earlier by Grab. Godiva's the only member who picked up the Edith in Season 10 with a 100% win rate. That's really why I thought that the Edith will go to the hands of Godiva. And again, that flex hasn't paid off at all currently looking at the game.
High looking for a play here, but look at Fluffy counter-engaging!
With the Earth Shatter, but look at what IMU was able to steal. It's the Cult Altar brought back as well with the healing. Cars is still alive. Vincent brought back to the team. Finally a kill back from Aura Fire as they look to climb their way back into the game. But only the jungler, the utility jungler, the frontliner has been taken down.
And it isn't as timed as well. Oh, but it actually might be. 8 seconds left for the Lord to spawn. Aura Fire, are they going to go for it or not here?
They can risk a big team fight here. They have a numbers advantage, and without Vincent in the picture, one less front line, one less source of pesky crowd control that Rebellion can use to counter them, but look at this play.
Good Earth Shatter. Godiva going to be able to bring Suelo back in. Facehugger is there, but the final blow from Cars, the rookie for Rebellion, doing a whole lot, but High secures the Lord. High's going to be able to gun them down right now, jumping in again onto Godiva, but with a very good maneuver, is able to get out. Godiva jumps back in, is able to knock Highs out, but Suelo picks up the scraps, and it's a 2 for 3. Aura Fire, they find the neutral objective, but they lose out in the team fight.
Is it worth it? Okay, so Aura Fire with the Lord, they are going to be able to delay a little bit longer, right? But in the grand scheme of things, no, it isn't. And this is where we see a problem. Aura Fire, They like to play with that playstyle. They like to go for that 5-man team fight. But the fact of the matter is, because of the way that they drafted, they are going to lose out on it because of how sustainable Rebellion Zion is. They need to find a way to bait out big resources from Rebellion Zion, either the Cult Altar or the Blessing of the Moon Goddess, before they commit for a 5-man team fight. Because otherwise, Aura Fire, they're going to lose out in that long, drawn-out playstyle.
Well, if Aura Fire can find an engage onto Highs, right, the core members, the main DPS source, we saw that Rebellion Zion is forced to move backwards, and Highs will be able to survive, but they'll be forced to use all the resources, the stolen Cult Altar, the Blessing of the Moon Goddess to keep him alive, and he won't be able to dish out that damage. So if Aura Fire can find the same kind of engage, easier said than done, they have a chance here. But otherwise, even in the late game, Rebellion Zion can't have enough damage, enough sustainability to just move around slowly but surely, taking out the members of Aura Fire, and they are beating Aura Fire at their own skirmish-heavy game. If you take a look at the items here, already a Lightning Truncheon, and that might play a huge role here because Rebellion Zion are going for this turret.
The siege potential is definitely there with the Beatrix here. Cars already looking for an opening. Maybe just to shot some damage. Final blow as well to cut the waves out. Eye for an eye. Perfectly timed. Godiva with a flicker. Bringing him back with the Way of the Dragon. The Earth Shadow connects as well. That's two Cult Altars with the Blessing of the Moon Goddess. But Kabuki's massive onto the back line with the Blazing Duet. He wipes them all. And Aura Fire are back. Guns blazing. 3-0 to Aura. And they have equalized the gold lead.
3-0 taken out for Aura Fire, and now they are going to use the space that they were able to get onto this mid lane. They've taken the third tier turret. They've taken a turret in the top side as well. What are Rebellion Zion going to do with the timers already so high by Godiva?
He's able to find a Jikundo flicker, but is not going to be able to punish Ouija Narco. It's actually Cars who finds the kill back. That's the Blessing of the Moon Goddess once again popped in by Ouija. Fluffy forced to back away. Rebellion Zion have fended for now. 1,000 gold lead onto the hands of Aura Fire. But it still is Rebellion Zion who are able to withstand and prolong the game.
What an unfortunate turn of events for Rebellion, going in with the Benedetta there. I think it's a bit too aggressive. Look at that, Electric Final Blow already being used. All the resources being used right here. Called Altar, Blessing of the Moon Goddess, and once Kabuki saw that everything was down, he goes in, and that's way too much damage, and Highs on that Beatrix does not have the tools required to try and outplay the damage coming in from that Blazing Duet. That is a critical issue right here that needs to be amended, because if Aura Fire can force Rebellion Zion and at least force Highs out of the fight, they do not have the edge in those prolonged team fights due to the lack of DPS.
They need to be masters at baiting really heavy ultimates here, Mirko.
Seal play here. High spotted it out. Called Altar as well. High is still trying to run away here. High is going to be gunned down there by the side of Kabuki. High finds the kill. Facehugger as well in the back line. The Lord falls to the hands of Aura. And it's the comeback that is almost just fulfilled by Aura. In the top side, you can finally see a trade going on as Cars is able to find a turret back. But what I want to mention in the replay that we saw earlier was the fact that Kabuki pops the Blazing Duet before he actually jumps in with a BMI. He places the BMI, Blazing Duet, then he jumps back into that team fight. So he's able to deal 100% of his Blazing Duet damage without having to wait from a delay. Because if you usually just jump in with a BMI in the Wind of Nature, there's a possibility of you just getting stunned and you will lose 1 second or 2 seconds even of your Blazing Duet damage. So that just shows why he was able to dish out that much damage.
And you can even see from the charts, right? The damage dealt by Axe. Definitely him at the top of the charts, but here we go, Cars!
Again, caught off guard, and Cars is gone. Aura Fire marching down with the Enhanced Lord here in the mid lane. Just waiting for the waves, micromanaging it. Vincent trying to look for the clear. Nibiru's Passion as well. Brilliant's going to be popped in to look for an opening. Vincent still in the midst, able to help his team clear out the Enhanced Lord. Aura Fire not getting too hasty this time around, rotating over to the base turret up top after taking the bot side turret down. Godiva with the concealed play, and the Jikundo, able to find Sway Low, but Sway Low goes with the Brilliance, escaping, getting immobilized there. Godiva in the front as well, opening it up once again as Fluffy's able to flicker forward. That's going to be mini waves, micromanaged by the side of Rebellion Zion, but the first damage from Aura will mean that it's 1-1 in the first match. Eterna, the curse is no longer a curse, it's a blessing. One talent predicted Aura.
It feels good, bro. It feels good. It feels good. I mean, we were talking about the drafting, and even looking at it, it didn't seem like... Okay, wait, I can't say that, actually. I feel like their draft was better in than game number 1.